know it's an opportunity to win the division, and we'll cross, as my dad used to always say, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I'm excited to be able to go out and play football and coach football, get an opportunity for us to get better against a well-respected opponent.
Tomorrow, just another game for Nick Sirianni. Welcome into Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. Barrett Brooks, Ashlyn Sullivan here with you. Head coach really downplaying the chance to win back-to-back NFC East titles. But Barrett, it's an opportunity for the Eagles to do something that hasn't been done in 2 decades. So we know it means something to that locker room.
It has to mean something. And him downplaying, I'm tired of the downplay. Stop downplaying stuff. I mean, be realistic about it. You've got to have this game. You got to go out there and reestablish yourselves as the NFC monsters. You know what I'm saying? The guys that control the NFC East, at least. We got to go out there and win it. We downplayed we were Super Bowl champions. What did that get us? We're at this point right now. Let's start saying who we really are. That's a dominant team. We like to go out and kick ass. Let's go.
Right.
Let's play. Let's get it going.
Especially Nick Sirianni has been so the past couple of weeks finding the joy in football, finding the joy in winning again. And I'm like, man, I want the T-shirts and the hats on Saturdays. That's too much to ask.
Let's go. Give me the T-shirt. Give me the hat. I want to start celebrating now because we need to jumpstart going into this playoff system because you got to have the right mindset going into the playoffs.
Yeah, you got to start playing your best football here pretty soon. And that brings us to 3-point stance presented by Toyota. Number 1, the Eagles are the beast of the East. A win over the Commanders tomorrow would mark the Eagles' 3rd NFC East championship in the last 4 years. Here are Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley on what winning another division title would mean to the locker room.
That's the first goal, to win a division, and then, get to the playoffs and, go off that. But that's always the goal here. That's one of the first things, to win a division.
You win a division, you guarantee yourself a playoff position, and, when you get to playoffs, you guarantee yourself a chance to compete for the Super Bowl, and that's what you want. And it's something that hasn't been done in 20 years to go back-to-back. So obviously we're aware of that, but none of that really matters. We don't go out there and take care of what we need to take care of.
The Eagles aiming for their 12th NFC East championship in the last 25 years. That would be one fewer than the Cowboys, Commanders, and Giants. Get this, combined. Barrett, that is huge for the Eagles.
Huge.
What's the biggest reason when you look at the discrepancy here, why the Eagles are so far ahead in the NFC East?
I have everything to do with the gold standard. I remember when he first said that. That's the owner, Mr. Jeffrey Lurie. He said we need to be the gold standard, not just in the division, not just in the NFC, but in the entire NFL. And he went about doing that. He conducted himself very well at making sure he had the right people in the right places. And then, from that point on, bringing in the right coaching staff and things, are starting to jump on and become what they are. The East has been dominated by the Eagles more than I've seen, since I left here. When I left here, we were just like, all right, we're the bottom of the totem pole. But then as they went on, that's all you heard about was Eagles football. Well, that's because Mr. Lurie put in place guys that want to dominate. And you look at Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman wants to dominate the division. He wants everybody to know that he's a football guy, that he can make it happen. And he's went about doing it in the right way. And that's by bringing in the right coaches, bringing in the right players. And, hey, I'm giving you everything you want in your recipe. It's time for you to cook. And he gave these guys something to cook. So they got to get cooking now.
Yeah, especially with the playoffs right around the corner, which leads us to our second stance. The Eagles offense should be in command against Washington's defense. Check out some of the Commanders' defensive ranks this season. 26th in points allowed, 31st in total yards allowed, 29th in passing yards allowed, and 28th in rushing yards allowed. That is far from impressive. So, Barrett, this is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Offense looking for some consistent effort. And if this is not successful for the Eagles, if you can't be consistent against this defense, I think there's some problems coming in the playoffs.
Absolutely, because I'm looking at it. We've got to get back to that defense that offense that played against the defense last week. We have to be more in control of what we're doing, and that comes with us understanding that when you look at it, I love the fact that we got back on. We only had 3 penalties. Those 3 penalties I think it was like 45 yards. And that's playing consistent football because you're not putting yourself behind the sticks. The offense has to stay on time. We have to gain an identity. We don't even have that identity until last week when we ran the ball. And everybody's like, we only averaged like 3.8 yards per carry. So what? It meant we kept the sticks moving. 3 yards for first down. Now it's second and 7. Get 3 more yards. I mean, that's how you do it. Now you have 4, third manageable, 3rd and 4. You run it 4 times, that's a first down. It's not always breaking out a 50-yard run or a 40-yard run. It's about keeping consistent, moving the chains. We got one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL in our backfield. Why not use that with the biggest offensive line? I'm not going to say the best, but the biggest offensive line in the NFL. I think they're starting to turn the corner. They understand they got to establish the line of scrimmage first, drive guys off the ball, and then get to the linebackers the second level. And you saw they've been doing it the last 2 games. Hence, that's why the offense has been a lot more successful than it has been. You got to secure that line of scrimmage. You got to use the talent that you have. I love the fact we got 2 great wide receivers on the outside and a great tight end, but you got to get your identity straight. We shouldn't be talking about what is week 16, gaining identity. I mean, come on. You're supposed to get that after the 4th or 5th week. We are a run-oriented team. Our offensive line is best suited for running, blocking, and getting guys off the ball, and Saquon Barkley taking it the distance. We got to get back to that mindset, a way of thinking. Yes, I have no problem with Jalen Hurts taking a game over and throwing for 300 yards if we have to. But we're not going to be in a position where we're going to have to do that. We control the clock, keep our defense off the field. They can perform. They can make it happen. They'll get the ball back to us real quick. We need to have, an uneven time of possession. We got to dominate the time of possession. All these things correlate to us playing a winning brand of football, and that's the difference. We are not playing winning brand of football until last week. From this point on, we got to stay and make sure we cut down on all the penalties, number 1. Number 2, run the ball successfully. Number 3, we throw what we want to throw. That's what we got to do.
Right, and I hear a lot about style points. I think that's a really trendy thing to talk about at this point of the season. I'm done thinking that this offense is going to look anything close to anything relating style right now. Because it doesn't have to. But style points to me is being consistent. And it doesn't have to look sexy and explosive, because I'm done thinking this offense is even capable of being like that.
Right.
And that's okay.
So, I mean, and that's it. We need to get A.J. 100 yards.
Nope.
I mean, if it comes within the framework of us running our offense, I'm all for it. If we don't, if Smitty gets 100 yards, I'm all for it. But if we don't, when you look at it, we got Dallas Goedert. If he has 80 yards to 100 yards, I'm good with it. But I want to run the ball. I want to pound people into submission. I want to know that this is a dominant Eagles team. We're not going for anything but dominance. You know what I'm saying? We want them to know that they played the Philadelphia Eagles as soon as they come off the field. I want them bandaged up. I want them on crutches. I want them to be hurting when they leave playing in the Philadelphia Eagles team, period.
Yeah,
period.
And it was that last week, but it has not been that consistently enough this year. Now, switching sides of the ball for our third stance, a star-studded battle on the outside. Eagles cornerback Quinyon Mitchell matching up with Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin Barrett. These guys went at it 3 times last year, including the NFC Championship game. They had their moments. Who do you think gets the upper hand tomorrow?
I think Quinyon does. Quinyon, even though he had some successful games, I asked Sean, how did he do against Quinyon? First game, week 11, he had 1 catch for 10 yards. He got totally dominated by a rookie. The next week, they play him week 16. He had 6 catches for 60 yards and a TD. And I think that's where the real rivalry started with Quinyon, because Quinyon totally mastered him in the first game. Second game, he had to come back and play a little bit. So he had 60 yards receiving and a TD. And Quinyon like, no, that's not what I do. That's not what I do. I got to come back at him. The next week after that, NFC Championship game, 7 catches, and that's because they had to throw the ball. They threw the ball a lot, but he only had 51 yards, but he did have a TD. So I think this has become a little healthy rivalry. That they love to pass the ball in the middle of the field to him, and it's going to be hard for Quinyon to be following there, because it might be not be with the defense they want him to do. But this is a healthy, one-on-one battle. We need to go out there and we need to win. Quinyon probably marked it on his board. Hey, I got to shut this guy down, because he's by far one of the better receivers you're going to see. Terry McLaurin, Quinyon Mitchell, this is a great rival we're going to see in this game.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's this game. It's for years to come. This will be the rivalry we talk about a lot in this division. Yes. So exciting stuff.